electronic invention I want you to see. I have a wonderful electronic invention I want you to see.
Hey guys, it's another Friday out here. We're doing a Vapers Report. We're going to do kind of the same thing we did last week. We're going to kind of have this little roundtable discussion, but I decided it'd be fun to come out to the east side and see some of the people out here. So we're at our Sandusky store today. It's a little rainy out there, so if you hear a little bit of that in the background, that's just really what's going on. But I wanted to talk to some of these guys because I don't get an opportunity to come out here as often as I would like to, and I know they have opinions about some of the things we've been talking about. Now, you guys have heard me talk all week on Vape AM, throwing news at you and getting you all riled up, and these guys all have opinions about these things as well. So I like to get these groups together so you guys can get an opportunity to meet some of these people that you're going to see in the stores that you come in and talk to every day, but they all have really strong feelings about some of the things that are going on in vaping right now. So I kind of wanted to sit down with them and, you know, talk this stuff over. So we're going to have each one of these guys introduce themselves, and we're going to start off with
Tara Mulvin. I'm vaping on Tesla 220 monochrome. I have to not leave that out. And Falcon Tank. And I believe I'm using super good liquid right now.
Squeezy.
Squeezy.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I just got a Tesla 220. I've been really happy. I got the coffee colored Falcon King to match it, and I think it's just absolutely gorgeous. So, all right, we'll pass it on. We'll see who else we got with us today.
I am Preston Keck from the Port Clinton store. I'm vaping on my Foosh, and I'm rocking the Pink Punch Lemon Twist. Besides that, I'm also vaping on my Baton. I'm really liking the thing. Solid mouth-to-lung hits.
Yeah, we just got those in.
Yeah,
so
they are phenomenal. Check them out, man.
I'm Mason Harkleroad from Sandusky Vape Store. I'm running the Aegis Legend with some Mucho Mango in the tank.
you can't say it like that. You know the rules.
What?
Come on, it's got to be
Mucho Mango!
There you go.
Mucho Mango.
I like it.
That's really good. Well, Mason, you can hold on to the mic. We'll kind of start off with you. So tell me your thoughts about Tobacco 21. How is it going to affect vapors? How is it going to affect some of your regular people that come in that are under that age? What do you think is going to happen? How do you feel about it?
Overall, it's going to affect me a lot because I'm only 20. So,
Right.
I mean, if that goes into effect, I will no longer have a job. So, that's a pretty big deal. A lot of the people, we do get a lot of, under the age of 21 coming in the store. It would kill our business a lot, kind of, just because so many people are trying to make the transition from cigarettes to vaping because they're finding out it's healthier. There's nothing you can say about it that's not healthier.
Now, do you think people in that age realm will go back to smoking cigarettes because it'll be something easier to get their hands on?
A lot of people that, I don't want to say all of the people that age, but I don't know about anybody else, but myself, I never actually smoked cigarettes. I just smoked vaping, which, I mean, given, in the future, if I have a child, I'd rather have them, start vaping than smoking because that's the safer alternative. So, I mean, but I don't know. I think it would definitely get them to do something else because you can't, they're going to do something regardless of what you do. So,
Correct.
21 on alcohol right now and kids are still getting it. You
Yes.
know? So there's just things you can't stop in the world. There's just,
Yeah, and it's a concern because, if, that's the main reason they say they're doing all this is to try and get it out of the hands of high schoolers.
Right.
So let's say there's a compromise that comes down and they change it to Tobacco 19.
Okay.
Could you swallow that?
That'd be a little bit better because, just like
Well, you
how
get to
you
keep
can,
your job.
Right, I get to keep my job. Obviously, I get to keep my job, but also, I think it would. That sounds a little bit better to the people. You can be 18 and go to the surface. That's one thing people say a lot. So why can't you drink a beer? Why can't you smoke a cigarette or vape? Does it that would just make it a lot more understandable, I think, than 21, just to lower the age.
Yeah, I don't like any compromise at all in this particular area, but I might be able to swallow that. And I'm
Right.
always curious what other people think
Yeah.
because, I'm 46. None of this really affects me.
Right.
It really doesn't. But I really understand that it does affect a lot of people out there who don't want to smoke, who have already made the switch.
Right.
And I think it'll be easier to bum a cigarette than it will to be to bum a vape. And, it concerns me quite a bit.
Right.
Preston, what do you think?
My whole thought process on it is, it's gonna kill the market a little bit. It's gonna take a portion of the revenue from it, and it's gonna, and sorts like you said, could it? Yes, it could. Could it throw people straight into going back to smoking cigarettes? Yes, 100%. Because now, like you were saying, for your age, for the older crowd, typically, it's somebody's used to routine. Somebody's used to like what they're used to. And for the most people, it was growing up, pulling a cigarette out of the pack or packing their pack of cigarettes. I still got the tap of my mom's pack of cigarettes. You know what I'm saying? But like all said and done, I think they should. You know, when you brought up the whole 19 thing. Yeah, okay, that could make some sense considering, yeah, then it's, you know, these people that are, because like, I think it was on our last episode, the discussion was the same thing, but it was a thing where they were also discussing the fact over having it go to 19 and having 1 year out of school. Most kids turn 19 1 year out of school. So, right. But that's the thing too. I mean, you think about it from that aspect, you have parents that come in shops, you know, that it's, and you don't know.
Yeah. Do you think the underground market's going to kick up a notch if that happens?
No, it's going to, well, that, and then that was the other thing, DIY,
yeah.
It will be literally underground, and like that being stated too. What was the FDA trying to crack down on back in the day? Getting all the DIY done, getting it away. That way everything is sterile, clean. It's made in a good environment. Your nicotine levels on dot, everything. It has to be precise. And like with these people that are just going to be doing their DIY, there's no preciseness. There's never a steep to it. You're going to get it right off of the thing where it's not going to be steeped. You're not going to get the full flavor. But that's the thing.
And where are they getting their products from?
Exactly.
Right.
You know?
It's going to be some guy's garage or their kitchen, and they think that's okay. And it's, I mean. And sorts, you know, there's people that have been doing this stuff for years. And I mean, the guys that are probably in these companies now, you know, that's the thing. That they're most of them are PH chemists too. They're literally, they're on the dot precise. They're measuring things out 100% versus some guy just taking syringes and dumping it and then saying like, you know, and you got to think about it too. People with allergies, you know, say they mixed up a coconut juice prior and they use that same syringe to do their peach, and somebody that was allergic to coconut gets that peach, well, you know, that could be a serious issue.
I agree.
And
I
that's
100% agree.
And that's what they're doing. They're, you know, it's like almost as if it's like streets. You
Yeah.
know, it's like buying anything off the streets, and it's not.
I mean, I'm only going to bring this up now because we're talking about this, but did you ever think you'd see a day where marijuana was legal and vape was not? Is that crazy? Is that it is crazy?
Yeah, it is, and that's the thing too. I mean, that was a Schedule I drug. I mean, still in a lot of places it is. You know, minor misdemeanor, the first offense, and that's the thing. In this day and age, how is that even a thing? You know what I mean?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
But
I totally agree. Well,
I personally, to wrap it all up, I think they should leave the age where it's at. 100% reason being on that is because I feel like Mason stated too, if you can join our service, if you can fight for our country, risk your entire life, everything that you've grown up, you know, you went through school, you went through all this, and now you're here, you're at that peak, you know, that peak where they want to call you an adult. You can vote. You can legally vote at 18 years old. How can you make a decision of who's going to be dictating our company, our country, and try to state that they can't grab a tobacco product?
yeah, they can sign a contract for pretty much anything at that age. So
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to pass the mic over to.
All right, Tara, give us your rundown.
Well, I have to actually agree with both the guys over here. I think human nature is if you make something illegal, things get real jaded.
Why do you care? You're not under 20.
I have kids that are under 20.
Fair enough.
I have, you know, I care about the up and coming generations. I remember what it's like to be underage and not been able to make my own decisions and choices. And in a sense, I a lot of times would want to rebel, do just the opposite of what people were telling me not to do. I'd go do it.
Well, it's a normal teenage thing.
Strict parents make
Yeah.
sneaky kids.
That's right. And I'm one of those. That's right.
But I mean, teenagers
tell
are
my
always
kids
going to
all
want
the
to do
time.
those things that are for adults. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
part of that
Right.
process. Like, well, I'm old enough. I mean, when was the last time you saw a 15-year-old girl that thought she was grown? I mean,
Right.
that's
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's a normal
Absolutely.
kind of thing. So they're always going to try those things. And I think
Mm-hmm.
as parents, like you and I are, you know, it's our job to inform our children about what the dangers of these
Mm-hmm.
things are, and not just be blatantly into the world and not know. Like I just did a recent story about this 14-year-old that's trying to sue Jewel, and it's like, well, wait a minute, she was on this for a year. Like, where is the responsibility fall
Right.
for that? That just seems a little bit crazy.
Right, that's an awful long time.
It really is. So one of the other things that's come up here recently is some different types of taxes. What are your thoughts on this? What do you think that that vape liquid should fall in as far as the tax category. Should we be taxed like cigarettes? Should we try to be filling that gap of where cigarette tax is now lacking because the states are losing a lot of money because people are quitting smoking?
Well, I mean, the taxes do have to fall somewhere. I don't think that we should be, not have to pay taxes. I mean, you're going to have that.
Sure.
We're making the profit. We should have to pay taxes if it's a taxable thing.
Yeah.
It's basically a transfer over. They're looking at, I was watching one of the episodes the other day, ridiculous amounts, like taxing on milliliters.
Yeah.
Milliliter, that is absolutely
Yeah.
right. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, Chicago's. I don't know if it actually passed, but that's
I
what
mean,
they were
and
trying
who
to do.
came up with, I mean, if we want to get technical, so a 6 milligram, okay, what's a milliliter equal to cigarette-wise?
Yeah.
Depending on, now are we going to go figure in the math of what nicotine level is it? I mean, we can get
So what Washington
stupid about
State just
it.
did now, if the only thing that's going to stop this is the governor vetoing it, it's basically
Right.
made it all the way to that. But 9 cents per milliliter on those, and the real issue with that was that basically is going to raise a 100 ml bottle by $9 cost.
Yeah,
all right,
that's
and that's on
ridiculous.
wholesale. That's not on retail price.
Right.
All right, but then your packs of a 4-pack of Juul is going to get raised about 74 cents, so less than $1.
I'm pretty sure I've seen somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've seen somewhere too that they actually had. I think it was California. Jewel pods. A pack of Jewel pods was $54. $54. Who in the hell wants to pay? And I kid you
Yeah.
not,
It's nuts.
When I was binging on my Jewel, I kid you not, I kid you not, I swear up and down that when I was binging on my Jewel, like say that was my primary vape. When I was primary vaping on my Jewel, there was no way in hell that I only vaped one pod a day. There was nights I would go through a whole pack. And if I lived in California, tell me exactly how that's supposed to be cheaper than smoking. I mean,
Yeah.
given I know packs of cigarettes out there are heftier in cost as well, but $54 for 4 pods that they claim each pod has, they say it's 20 cigarettes, so a pack per pod, and they don't even give you 0.7 mils of juice.
Yeah.
How does that make sense?
No, and it is absolutely crazy. And I mean, San Francisco has done everything in their power. You can give it to Mason. Everything in their power to eliminate vaping, and I think it's because really of the tax money that they're not getting. Come Monday, I'm actually doing a Vape AM show about some new things that I just recently found out about how tobacco actually benefits California so heavily, and I'm going to get into that pretty deep. I don't want to really get into that today because I'm not really ready for it. But when I bring that out, I think that's going to be an eye-opening thing about why they're doing what they're doing. Because San Francisco's gotten to the point now where they have pushed so hard that Juul's going to move to South Carolina. And that's going to take jobs, that's going to take money out of there. And this is a place that's 46 square miles that's so covered in literal feces right now from homeless people, they can't clean it all up. Like, you have bigger problems than this. Why would you not
right.
take money from every spot you can get it from to help with this issue? I mean, I couldn't believe it, but it was like, I think they were saying something were in the neighborhood of like 40,000 homeless in San Francisco. That number may not be
Right.
correct, but it's something outrageously high.
And they want to say that vaping's an epidemic.
There's
Correct.
right,
There's
first
other
world
problems.
problems here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're just trying to hop on the train because it has
Right.
blown up in the last however many years,
Right.
a lot, especially with the Juul coming out, and they're just trying to hop on that money train with the taxes and everything. They're trying
Oh,
to hop
yeah.
on it because why
Money
not?
grabs,
I can
yeah.
understand why they're doing it, but it's stupid. They have a lot more things they could be worrying about than
Right, things are
than
getting.
a safer alternative to the thing that's been killing millions and millions of people for the last however many years,
Right.
cigarettes.
So the next thing we want to go on to is the flavor bans. Now, every different area, state, city, whatever, has all these different things that they want to try and do. And now you're seeing some of these things start to actually go into the House of Representatives in Washington. Do you think that people will continue to vape if all they have are tobacco flavors to choose from? And do you think that the flavored products have actually helped people to get off of cigarettes?
Most definitely. I think most definitely too. I think the flavored juices has helped a lot of people get off of the cigarettes because it's not the same taste. It's a
Right.
totally, completely different taste than what your brain is used to all the time. The tobacco or the menthol cigarettes.
The
that you're-
chemicals.
Yeah, the
Tobacco made
chemicals,
me
all of
want a
that stuff.
cigarette.
Right.
The tobacco
Exactly.
flavors.
So I mean, like the flavor ban and stuff like that. I think it's just silly. again, I guess I can understand just because of like, I guess they're trying to get it away from children and stuff, and you know, with the flavors, it makes it, you know, oh, this tastes great, I want to do it. But I mean, it's more than that. It's way more than that. It's
Alcohol
just,
is the same thing.
yeah, I mean, they
alcohol
make fruity
smell
liquor
good,
and
tastes
stuff, and you're just
good,
like, oh, this tastes great.
it's
you know,
marketing.
Go ahead.
It's not the actual.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you think? How is this going to affect our business? You know, how many people are you going to see not come to vaping because they just don't have the flavors to choose from?
Well, let's just kind of cut to the chase. Let's be honest, that flavor ban goes into act, then it's already back to that same stage we were talking about with the Tobacco 21. It's literally black market, you know what I'm saying? Everything's
Yes.
going to go underground. Like, they'll never stop it. They figured that out for years, and all it's going to do is generate more issues, more problems, and it's going to keep people, because now let's go on the realness. Like I said, DIY would be a thing. So yeah, if you don't know somebody that's making juice, then where do you have to turn? Okay, a tobacco or a plain, or are they still talking about carrying the menthol? Is that a menthol?
Menthol is really considered a flavor. So, I mean, that's what San Francisco's gotten rid of. The only thing you can buy in San Francisco right now are just the absolute basic tobacco cigarettes.
Well,
No
see,
menthols even.
And see, that all that being stated, my biggest thing is when I turned fucking 18, there's no way in hell that I quit doing flavors. I like, you know what I mean? That, you know, when I turned 18, I didn't stop liking Skittles. When I turned 18, I didn't stop eating candies. You know what I mean? That's yeah, okay. It's a thing where somebody might enjoy a flavor more than a tobacco. Like, that's quite honest. Like, you'll have those people that have been set in their ways for years and years and years, and that have done nothing but tobacco, or a menthol, or a plain, or, you know, we have those people. But the biggest thing is like, in this day and age, everything's evolving, and they got to realize that.
When's the last time you had a customer that came in that had switched from tobacco to vaping, and then they're like, oh my God, I went back and tried a cigarette, and it was just like
Yeah,
awful.
it tasted terrible.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. You know, you're vaping on a tobacco, then you're more susceptible to going to a tobacco. Like, somebody's at a bar and you vape tobacco, you're like, oh shit, I already smoked tobacco. You know, and it's nowhere near the same. Like, people cease to realize, like, American Lung Association, I printed those out in our store. And American Lung Association did a study stating that there's like 600 something chemicals in a cigarette before it's even burned, and then the second that thing gets lit, it turns into like 10 times.
Yeah, I think it's 7,000. Yeah.
And that's a ridiculous number. And they even state on there too, it's like 60 something of them are guaranteed and known to cause cancer. Why are they not informing people of this? Why is our government so far behind in that sort? Like, look at Canada. Look at Australia. They put that stuff right on the pack. You can't forget it. You buy a pack of cigarettes,
Right.
you're looking at like, wow, there's a stoma, or look at this guy having eye surgery because it's messed with his eyes so much.
Yes.
It's like, these are all proven facts. Why is our government not showing this to us? Why are they wanting to fight us when we're trying to benefit the world? We're trying to make,
Exactly.
I mean, can you give me the exact number? What is it per year that cigarettes kill?
480,000 in the United States and 6 million worldwide.
And we have not had a single case. Not a single case of this stuff causing anything of the sort.
Yeah, I had a guy on that watches the show, and he's a statistician kind of guy, and he sent me a couple articles yesterday where a couple of like 15-month-old babies had died from ingesting liquid nicotine. Now, the articles really weren't specific on whether it was e-liquid or it was like a DIY guy who had nicotine and somebody got it. One of the cases, it said that they mistakenly gave it to the infant as cough medicine, and I think, isn't that more of a parental issue there? So I'm kind of changing the way I say this now, that there's never been any deaths from e-liquid from its intended use. Bottled water isn't going to kill you unless a truckload of it falls on you. Okay, that's not the bottled water's fault. It's not its intended use, and that's kind of what I have to stress with this.
Right. That's a 100% thing too. And like that being stated, these bottles are childproof.
Correct.
I'm not gonna lie. There's been bottles being 22, have a hard time getting open.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. I have an older crowd that come in, and they need me to open their bottles as well, because they, as you get older, your hands, arthritis, things like that. But all that being said and done, it's 100% on the parents. That's the thing. That's what you were there for. You're supposed to be your parent. You're supposed to be there and be monitoring your kid. It's a thing where how old were they? You said.
At like 15 months, so
15,
less than 2 years.
Extremely young.
Yes.
So extremely young kids are getting it. Well,
Why?
Well, and that was the funniest part about the article. It was basically like they mistaked it for cough medicine. I'm like, well, that 15-month-old didn't walk into the bathroom and go, oh, I need some cough medicine, and put it in a
Hand
spoon
it
and
to the
take
parent,
it.
right.
You know, that was the parent that fed it to him. Yeah,
Right.
I'm sure it was an accident.
It's like a
so,
prescription bottle or
but the
anything
funniest
else.
part about it was if there were deaths associated with vape liquid, it would be on billboards in Times Square. They would mention it
Oh, yeah.
every time, and the only reason they don't mention those things is because they can't necessarily say that that's really what it was. I mean, like the whole, I don't want to get into this yet, but the whole seizure thing is like, well, yeah, these people had vaped and they had seizures. Well, yeah, they rode in cars that day and they ate lunch, and I mean, there's all kinds of things that they did throughout the day. But
Might
to
have
pick
had
the vape
medication
thing as being that
interaction.
just drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Let her talk about this real quick, and then we'll move on.
Along those same lines, we were talking about that, changing it to no flavors at all, just tobacco. Now, when I began vaping, I was trying to give up smoking. I had no luck with the gas station ones that tasted like a cigarette.
Yes.
Whatever. The only way I had results was when I switched to flavors, because for me, tasting that nicotine and the tobacco flavor and everything, it made me want a cigarette. So it was like one and the same for me. It wasn't, okay, I'm good, I don't want my cigarettes anymore. So the flavors helped me more so along,
Yeah,
become cigarette free.
absolutely.
A lot quicker. I mean, it was like overnight.
So speaking of flavors, you guys know every week that we do release a new liquid. So it's time for the weekly liquid lowdown. All right, guys, we're back. Well, like I said, every week we release a new liquid, and this week is no different. And in all honesty, what more can I say about Sad Boy? To be honest, I think this is the last free-based flavor that they have, except for the Shamrock, which was actually a seasonal flavor, which we missed out on, and we shouldn't have, but we'll try again next year. I promise we will. So this week's release is actually going to be the custard cookie from the Sad Boy line. We haven't had a custard one of theirs in yet, but I really don't expect it to be bad. There's nothing about Sad Boy that doesn't make me happy.
Or
So
custard.
yeah, absolutely. And we needed a custard flavor too. So check out vapersone.com. Come into any of the vapor stores. We are releasing this today. It is the liquid of the week. So you got to come in and try this out. There's always a decent deal on these as well. And speaking of the website too, it's probably the cheapest shipping that I've found from any website. I mean, most of the websites, like I've talked about before, they might give you a $9.99 bottle price, and you go to checkout and it's $9.99 to ship or $12.99 to ship, and you're right up to the same prices that you're used to with some of the other ones. We don't fool around with you guys like that. We give you the actual shipping cost. We don't add any handling into that because we want the prices on our website to be very similar to what they are in the store. So you can come into the store and get this price. You can go to the website and get this price, and we will ship this. If you spend $35, so like a bottle of liquid and a pack of coils is going to get you that number, your shipping is free. So you got to come over and check out vapersone.com. All right, enough shameless plugs. We'll move on to some more stuff. All right, so next thing I wanted to talk about, I wanted to know your feelings about that new IQ OS. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the new thing that Philip Morris just got through the FDA that now has it's certified, legalized, whatever you want to call it. The pre-market application did get approved through that. Now this is basically what it is, and I've done a little bit of research about this. So it is basically like a little pill that comes into these, what they call a heat stick. And a heat stick, it's paper on the outside, but then it's wrapped in aluminum on the inside. And what it is they grind the tobacco up into a powder, and then they use propylene glycol with it, and they press it into like a pill form. And then when you put it into the device, you turn it on, it heats up to about 300 degrees Celsius, which is not close enough to burn it because it takes about 600 degrees for it to actually combust. So it's like a dryer vaporizer is basically what it is. It just releases the nicotine out of it, and it's showing to be up to that vaping level. Now, in all honesty, I don't really have an issue with this device. I really don't have an issue with it because in its truest form, it's really vaping. The problem I have is buying it from Hitler. That's the issue that I have with this. Big tobacco kills this many people every year, and I'm wondering if I gave the U.S. government this much money, would they let me just go out and kill that many people? I'll even take a quarter of that. Can I go around and shoot people that I don't like as long as I'm giving you that money? And that's what it's starting to feel like.
Well,
so what do you think about this new product? What are your thoughts?
well, I see a lot of hypocrisy going on. Imagine that. But can I ask how much this is going for?
They're not for sale yet, so they won't be available for sale until this summer, and it's going to be in Atlanta. So what we're guessing from what the information I'm getting is the device is probably going to be in that $30 to $40 range, and then the pack of heat sticks would be about the same price as a pack of cigarettes.
Okay.
Right, but it'll also be taxed as a pack of cigarettes also. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised anybody has time to even think up these ideas when they're so busy on the witch hunt with us. I mean,
Now, it has been out for
honestly.
2 years.
Okay.
So it started in 2000, well, actually longer than that. It started out in 2014 in Japan, and then it went through more than a 2-year vetting process with the FDA.
Right, well, I get so fired up thinking about
Good.
it
I
all,
mean,
but
that's what I
it's,
want. I can't be the only guy getting fired up.
yeah,
So
it's just, it makes you question everything, you know. And the people that might stumble across this channel and, oh, I don't vape, it doesn't pertain to me or whatever. And, you know, I think about the times I've stumbled across issues that didn't really pertain to me, and I'm like, oh, look at these people getting so passionate about it, and they want everybody to listen and all that. You know, if you just put into place something else that you enjoy doing or you know is going to help someone, whether it be vaping or whatever, you feel passionate about it, just place that in place of the word vaping, if that makes any sense.
yeah,
You know, it's something that is, it's kind of like saying, oh, we found a cure for cancer, not that this is any, but this is preventing cancer.
yes.
Why wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, you're absolutely
People
right.
are turning a blind eye to the fact that kids are going to be kids. Kids will experiment. This has nothing to do with that. People are ignoring the whole issue of the fact that this can prevent a lot of bad things down the line. But guess what? Who's going to suffer? The pharmaceutical companies, because they're not going to have the medicine to help these people. I mean, there's so much shady shit going on
Yes.
over there. They're all over there going, oh my gosh, well, we can't have this. We've got side effects for all these drugs. You know, Chantix, your arms fall off if you use it. Or you have terrifying nightmares.
That is not an official view of vapors.
No,
All
not
right.
really, but I mean, if you watch you know, ads. all
Yeah,
these
no, I mean, the side
possible
effects are-
or whatever, but yet
Yeah.
here's something that hasn't been proven to cause anything,
Right.
even in small studies, let alone
Yes.
15 years of,
And the reason there aren't any studies is because they won't do any studies.
Exactly,
You know,
and it's
overseas
just-
they do studies constantly, and they
Right.
keep coming up with the same conclusions. And it's just like, and unfortunately, I hate to keep bringing it back to this,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just like the marijuana thing. They wouldn't let them study it, so they just left it where it was. And it's crazy to think that that is a Schedule 1 when cocaine and meth are Schedule 2. I mean, it's just asinine.
I just
the
like
way
to
that
know
is.
who makes all these decisions, and, you know, it just makes you question the good in
Yeah.
people.
All right, we'll pass it on to Preston over here. What do you think about the IQOS? You've probably used more devices than all of us combined at this table.
Honest opinion on that is, for Christ's sake, they've had these dry earth vaporizers for how long? And I mean, obviously,
Decades.
We've been
Yeah.
seeing them in shops for years, and it's the thing. You know, now they're it's small, and okay, so they're riffing off of vaping. They're almost taking a step back because they're inclining tobacco right back into it.
Right.
I feel like, I mean, don't get me wrong, we've gotten to where we're at, and we're getting people away from the flavor of tobacco. We're getting people away from, all the harmful toxics, chemicals, all the things that you get in a cigarette, and yet they still want to blaspheme us, but yet they want to continue to portray the ideal of tobacco.
Hypocrisy.
And keep pushing the same thing that we've like for years now. We've known these things. We've the studies that have been proven on tobacco, that's the thing. It's, like I said, it's a step back. I think what I think it is? I think it's a tobacco version of a Juul, and that's what it is. And that's why, if I remember correctly, this is about, 6-7 months ago, Marlboro, the guy that runs Marlboro, he was investing. He invested in Juul, and he hasn't backed out of that. But he was talking about going into this. Basically, there was talks of this.
Yes.
Why is he going into our domain when he already knows that he has the tobacco domain? Because he knows what this is doing.
Yes.
And he's just trying to kind of emphasize tobacco again and bring that back up, so people have that ideal of switching right back to what they're used to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And because I guarantee it's going to be the same thing with, like I said, with my Juul. I could go through pods upon pods when I'm using my Juul. How long is this little thing that they're putting inside of that device? How long is that supposed to even account for? And we don't know, and you're going to be paying out.
Yeah, they're saying that each pod is supposed to be equal to a pack of cigarettes, but I really don't get
Yeah,
that.
right, and just so is this one, and
Yeah.
they state that there's 200 puffs not this one, but the same difference is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. The Juul, they say that there's 200 puffs in a pod for a Juul, and they say that it equals a pack of cigarettes. I'm sorry, I don't know anybody that intentionally, day in and day out hits their cigarette 10 times.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell somebody smokes a cigarette in 10 hits.
Yeah.
No,
I agree with that too.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that being stated, it's just a thing where, like I said, it's a step back. They're trying to be us because they see what we're bringing to the table, and they understand because look what it's done to them. They know that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why we have these people harping down our back, because
Yeah.
I'm gonna almost guarantee, and we all know the truth behind this. What does what's the
That's
world
what-
revolve around?
Yeah.
Money, money, money.
Right.
Well, and along those same lines, I'll add this in here. Now they got their pre-market tobacco application approved, and it cost them almost $1 billion to do that. Okay. My concern with that is them being the first one through this gate. They have set the bar on what the cost is going to be. And I talked about this in one of the Vape AMs. If a bottle of liquid like this, in this one size and one nic strength, let's say it only costs 1% of what they make or what they paid to get their pre-market tobacco application approved, that means that bottle would cost $10 million to go through that process. That's 1%.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
And that's every flavor, every nic strength, every bottle size, individually.
They're making this so complicated.
Well, and the reason for it is
Really?
because if they make enough hurdles, you can't clear them all.
Right, and there's these little grown men acting like 12-year-olds and women, I'm sure. Just everybody do their own thing.
Yeah, but it's the matter of me going, here's 50
Yeah.
grand.
Yeah,
Do you think
right,
maybe you
I
could turn a
know.
blind eye to this for a moment while we do this? And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a drop in the bucket for them. Obviously,
Right.
if they've got $1 billion to spend on
tobacco.
having that one thing approved, I mean, what does that say? I mean, that's just absolutely
It's mind-boggling.
insanity. All right, I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about all this money? What do you think about the IQOS?
It's all about the money, honestly.
It is all about the money.
It is what it is. I feel like they've already, with this new device, it sounds like, because I'm not really familiar with the new device, but the dry herb for the tobaccos or whatever, it just seems like that they know that they're in the wrong in somewhat, but they're trying to maintain what they
Yes.
have to keep them.
That's what I was
if that makes sense, like the tobacco part of it,
Well, would you say they're trading money for lives?
most definitely, but that happens all the time.
Yeah.
So that's
The deal with the devil or
that's
whatever.
just
Yeah.
government.
Like she was saying about
Go
the
ahead.
whole, like she was saying about the whole paying for chemo. That that's real money. That's money that you have to fork out for your life. You're fighting for your life. I mean, that's the thing. If you can avoid that, if you're a cigarette smoker, we know that these things cause cancer. That's leading to paying for cancer treatment. That's leading
It's
to paying
probably
for
cure for cancer.
and other things. So if you got your pack of cigarettes here, you got your vape here. This and how many years it's been around has no scientific negative to it. That's been I've even heard as far as doctors swearing up and down about it.
Yes.
Literally, the doctor will go out of his way and say, listen, you need to quit smoking now, and the person will go, well, I've heard about the vaping thing, and I've thought about doing that, and the doctor will say, do it. I don't care. Just quit smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, it's funny. One of the other guys that worked for us, he went to his doctor and he'd asked us, they said, listen, I've started vaping. What do you think about that? And the doctor's like, well, the only problem that I have with vaping is that I didn't think about opening up my own shop.
Yeah.
That literally was what the doctor said. So I felt like that was like, wow, that's, I'm sure he can't go on camera and say that because, he's probably got restrictions as far as that goes. But that's a huge statement coming from an actual medical doctor.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. All right. So one of the other things that's been going on, I believe it's Arizona that this is happening in. So there is a ban on indoor vaping. And it is actually stretched all the way through even to vape shops. So when you go into a vape shop now, you can't try a flavor, you can't vape inside of a vape shop.
Smell
What do you think about the secondhand vapor versus secondhand smoke? And
That's nuts.
it is, I know.
That's
I love the laugh because that is exactly what you should do in that
I don't
situation.
know. It just sounds silly. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just another hurdle, I guess. Because it's just I don't like. It's
Anybody getting
all
sick from
it's the
secondhand
same.
vapor?
No.
No?
I'm cool.
Yeah.
Shit. If I as much as I vape, I don't care if you've been a 20-year smoker or whatever. As much as I vape, I should be not healthy. I should be very sick.
With the way
I try this literal juice on my finger and lick it 20 times a day. and I'm still here.
Right.
Yeah.
There's like
Right, because there's vegetable glycerin, propylene glycol, and some flavoring that's in probably Kool-Aid and, blow pops and everything else,
Yeah.
right? So that's what they tried to cut it down to, and do some research. Like send this through the lab. We'd be more than happy to do that. That was actually one of the things one of the ladies was talking about. She's like, I wish there was an independent lab that would test this. And I'm like, me too. Right. Me absolutely, because then we would actually get the truth about what's really going on here and stop all these lies about this. I mean, some of the propaganda that comes out, like we were talking about that Rolling Stone article about the 14-year-old in that, and I was just like, I had no idea it had nicotine in it, How long could you hit a Juul if you'd never smoked and not know there was something in it?
Yeah.
Like one day, maybe? I mean,
The first hit.
yeah.
first hit, you'd be like,
Right.
I have cigarette smokers, people that come in and they say, oh, I smoke 2 packs a day, I'm hitting this vape, it's not doing nothing for me, and all that said and done. I tend to vape, typically like when I'm using Salt Nick, I'll use a 50 Salt Nick, and I'll say, here, and I'll hand it to them. And given they take 1-2 hits, and I kid you not, even the people that say they smoke towards 2 packs a day, they'll go, wow.
Yeah.
So like a kid that picks this up and takes a hit, they feel that I hate to say this, that first cigarette vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of course you're hooked on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the clear thing that we know about nicotine. It is an addictive chemical.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that being stated, it's a thing where, little Johnny in school, we'll go to that propaganda where they call this an epidemic of kids having the vapes and stuff. I mean, you go back to little Johnny in school, and then little Johnny's friend Dale comes up and what's that? And then grabs it, takes a hit. Mm-hmm. Of course he likes it. You're indulging nicotine, and that's the biggest portion of that is coming through gas stations.
Yes.
The little stores. The stores that I can't tell you how many times when I was like 16, 17 years old, starting to smoke, like literally starting to smoke. I'd go walk into a gas station, walk out with 3-4 black and mouths, no question. Didn't even have no. Can I see your ID, sir? No.
Right.
That baby face.
Yeah. Well, that's the question I asked yesterday. Like, what person is selling Juul products to a 14-year-old girl?
Right.
I mean, at what point can you not tell? I mean, sometimes guys, they grow a beard and stuff, and they get hit puberty a little early and they look a little bit older. Right. There's not a 14-year-old girl on the planet that looks like she's old enough to smoke or vape. At least none that I've ever seen. No. I mean, that to me is the craziest part about it, for sure. Yeah. Now, along with that, so what they're actually suing Juul for is racketeering. Now, racketeering is basically trying to get a product or money or something from you using some type of an encouragement as far as like I'm going to be mean to you or I'm going to beat you up if you don't give me that. Now, how in the world is Juul doing anything even remote? Like that law was put in place for organized crime. That was like loan sharking and things where they were like beating people up to get money from them. Yes, they've had commercials on TV that were attractive to young people, but so are beer commercials.
That's marketing, period.
Right. I mean, that's what marketing is. So my other question with this is, and we'll pass this one around the table. What do you think should happen to a convenience store that does sell and gets caught? What do you think? What do you think should happen to the guy that's either selling? Right. I know, but that's why that's why I'm saying it this way.
I mean, like you talking first offense?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Anytime that individual.
Let's say that you go to your local gas station and you walk in there and a 14-year-old girl buys and the cops send her in there and they come in and they arrest the guy. What should his charge be? What kind of punishment should we put into that?
That's like
contributing to a minor.
Yeah, contributing to a minor. Yeah, because you shouldn't
Well, is it attempted murder?
No.
I get where you're going.
How strict do we really want to get? I mean, you throw a couple of those convenience store clerks into jail and you publicize it big time in the media. How many of them do you think would do that?
Especially if it's a big chain.
And I'm not, I don't want to get into anything, weird about this, but I'm like, how many of these convenience stores, who are they owned by? What kind of people are in there that are actually working in those places? Yeah. I'm telling you, you ever go to a convenience store and see that thing next to the register that's got got all the people that went to jail. It's got all their mugshots and stuff on it. Yeah. How often do you think a guy that's standing behind the counter is going to want his picture to be on there because he was arrested over the weekend for doing that?
Yeah, I mean, it most definitely would put a stop to everything.
Right, but suing Juul ain't going to do that.
No.
It's picking on the individual people that are actually breaking the law that's going to fix this problem. Juul cannot police all of these
It's
places.
accountability. Everyone needs to take, their
Yeah,
own.
you're responsible for your own actions.
Right.
All right,
And no
pass it on. Come on, give me a harsh discipline.
Well, in all honesty, I mean, my big thing is like you said.
Cut their hands off,
No,
whatever.
Well, I mean,
Public stone.
I don't know. I guess my biggest thought on that is like, regardless, back to the whole age thing. We'll go all the way back to that.
Sure.
The biggest point of this is unfortunately the things are always going to be obtained. It's already it's happening. We know this is happening. You know
Yes.
what I mean? It's a thing where what were they talking about doing? They were talking about making it so that way when a person purchases a Juul, the serial number that they purchased is identified through them.
Like the
Correct.
phone.
So that being stated, if that happens that way, and I mean, say
I love the idea of that, by the way.
it's a fantastic.
I really do.
idea.
I love the
Because
idea of
guess
that.
what, I mean, now the only downside to that though is think about it this way. Well, I'm vaping. Oh, I lost it, and then you pick it up.
Oh, and I lose stuff.
Now
too.
little Johnny picks it up and he gets caught with it at school. Now that's a liability thing. Now see,
It is.
that's where it could be like a card. Call and say, hey, I lost my Juul. I'd basically like to either report it stolen and then
Jeez, Pete's, yeah.
But
Yeah.
then look at how much
But I
in
mean-
depth we're getting. That's the thing is like, I remember when.
But I think with that, what they're trying to do is find patterns.
Right.
Like if 2 Juuls from your store showed up and younger, okay, I'm not going to hold you accountable for that.
Right.
50?
Yeah. That's
There's
the problem.
probably a situation there that needs to be handled.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
But there's cameras and everything else there's. I don't know.
Right, and it'd be very easy for them to go back and see who bought that at what time, because that receipt's going to pop up
Everything
and
is.
show a date, a time. I mean, how good are our cameras in our stores?
Oh, fantastic.
Right, so there's not going to be an issue being able to pick out who that person is.
I mean, this is like the serial number thing. It is pretty smart, just because of the simple fact that I mean, like, yeah, if I was 16, 17, I come in, I get turned down. Okay, whatever. I'm hitting on my friend. He's gonna buy it for me, and I'm still gonna have
Period.
it regardless. So
Yes.
like, it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, with the serial number though, obviously if that person buys it, then it's
That's a
his.
turn
But
on.
I mean,
Well, yeah,
it's
but-
still like, if they just want to put all these roadblocks in front of us, we can't find the solutions. It's just like they sound so in depth and stupid. Like that
Yeah.
we would have to resolve to this.
Yeah.
Like why? Like why do you have to resort to doing something like this when it's just
And-
like it's.
Give it up to Tara. She's ready to go.
Sorry,
I can see her.
sorry. I see it.
She's
I
aged.
see it.
She's-
I also think I've got quite the collection of devices, and my kids have a lot of friends that come in and out of my house. Do
Sure.
I have to lock up that with my prescriptions and everything else now? Because, I mean, it's almost like it makes me terrified to even have this stuff, Yeah, I should be responsible and I should take care of my things, and, but.
Sometimes
same
you have to be a
token-
parent.
Right,
That's really the
absolutely,
truth.
and I will.
I mean, would you leave
But
alcohol out?
I definitely watch more even who I had in my house.
Right.
That.
Absolutely.
And I'm like Nazi anyway, like Preston said, I tell my kids all the time, I taught the game, so don't even try to play it.
Yeah, that's not a good thing to tell your kids, because they just want to find another way to get around
yeah,
it. But
but-
no, I get that.
I
But
tell them I don't find everything.
But just
but-
educating them, I think it makes
Yes.
it a much bigger thing. If you have this kind of relationship with your kids that you can be
Yes.
open and you guys can have discussions about that. I mean, one of the things I did with my son early on when he was little, I'm like, cuss as much as you want. Say all the dirty words you want to
yeah,
say.
kids always wear-
And yeah, and then after a couple of weeks, he was making up his own dirty words because that wasn't fun anymore. Because
Right.
there wasn't that
Reaction
that
to
wasn't that
that.
adrenaline rush from being able to
That
do that.
taboo.
And then everything turned out to be, oh, that's so beast. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's your word, then rock on. Go with it. So, but yeah, there is a little bit about that. I mean, there are things that we do need to educate, and this is probably one of the last topics we'll talk about today. But one of the other things that comes up with this is they say the taxes are designed there so they can give money back to the state or the city or whatever, and use that money towards education and towards getting people off of any of these products. The problem is all the statistics that I see, less than 15% of that money actually goes
And also,
towards
it
that.
starts at the home anyway.
It does.
It's not the educator's responsibilities to teach, that whole thing has been lost. It goes a lot deeper than that. There's a lot of, that whole family structure and people, everybody wants to pass the what's it called, pass the ball or whatever. to
Pass the
somebody
buck, yeah.
else. They don't want to take responsibility. They
No.
don't want to take charge and take care of their own. They want to just have everybody do it, and if it doesn't work out their way, then they're pointing fingers.
Well, and I think that's a perfect example of those parents of that 14-year-old girl. It's
Yeah.
like, where is your responsibility? Well, I can't
That's
believe
what
you're
I'm
even,
saying.
you got the balls to take this to court. It's
Yeah.
like, are you serious?
Because
Like,
there is no such thing as a limit in absurdity anymore. Nothing surprises me anymore. Things are absurd, and then somebody will think of something even more absurd to sue about, or
do you think that this
Blame
vaping
power.
epidemic among the youth is overblown?
We
Do you
can't
think
call
it's
it that.
yeah? Do you think it's
Oh,
really
yeah.
Stop
that?
calling it an
Yeah.
epidemic. I don't call
It's
it an
not.
epidemic at all.
Yeah.
Heroin is an epidemic, and we could get into all that too. How did it become an epidemic?
Right.
But I'm not even
Start
going to
with
go there. Yes.
Yeah.
You know.
No, absolutely.
You know, we could have a huge, and I start getting angry about it again because, if y'all don't grow up being paranoid old people someday, then, because there is some shady stuff going on here, and I'm not just saying it because I work in the vape industry. It is scary that people aren't being allowed to make they're not being allowed to make their own decisions, and it's okay that, we're first to say go away and fight for your country, and
Big
die,
tobacco-
like these guys said, but yet you
Yeah,
can't
big
decide
tobacco and
something.
pharmaceutical companies are going to be the two that actually redeem the most from vaping going away, because the
Absolutely.
tobaccos are going to make them sick, and then the
it's so-
pharmaceuticals are going to be there to try and mask their symptoms.
Right.
But really, that's all it is. And when
that's-
when both those companies are hurting from this, that's why when did you ever think big
They're
tobacco and
scared.
big pharma would join together to
They've
fight
been.
something? And it's that's scary. When those two guys get together to fight something, politicians have to look at that and go, that's
But
scary. That's like criminals and cops
Oh,
being
yeah.
on board for
Two
the same
big,
thing.
big,
There's something wrong there.
It's almost as if it's a monopoly in that.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Because
It's
Yeah.
the big
you know,
pharma and the big tobacco.
Yeah, you got these guys, and look at you got these guys, and you can look at the vape industry. I mean, the vape industry, and all sorts. In all honesty, too, yeah, it is just taking off. It's just becoming, a culture, a thrive. And it's flourishing throughout the United States.
It's a threat to them.
Yeah, it is. 100% is putting them in jeopardy. If we back to the flavor thing and everything else. You asked about going back to cigarettes. Like I said, what was I doing when I was underage? Going into gas stations, picking up my black and milds because they don't card, they don't ID. Well, that's the thing, and like at least our store, I can't vouch for every single shop I've ever been in. But
Sure.
at least in our shop, I know we card, we have to ID. It's a mandatory.
Signs everywhere.
Everywhere.
And people will find an 18 or 19-year-old one friend or whatever. If they're
Right.
gonna do it, they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And and we were stuck on that. Like I said, we should stop using the term vaping epidemic. It's not an epidemic. Like she said, heroin's an epidemic.
Yes.
And how did it become
that's
an
killing,
epidemic?
killing people, and that started all from and the crazy
Pharmaceutical.
thing is, and I've had people throughout my life straight up tell me, I've met addicts. You know what I mean? And that being stated, I've had people tell me they all started with pain pills.
Mm-hmm.
They got pain pills prescribed to them, and then their doctor, the second they stopped and said, hey, yeah, nope, we're not giving you these anymore. What does that resort to? The same thing that we would have to resort to if it came down to the flavor ban, the age ban.
They made it epidemic.
Black market. So that they're sending people, that it all starts there. So guess what? If we look at it from our aspect of where we're at,
This is what's gonna happen.
tobacco started this epidemic.
You're
We were
absolutely
trying
right.
to
That's-
cure
and
it,
that's what I was
And
getting
we were
at.
trying to cure it. So if they want to call it an epidemic, look where it started.
I love that.
100%.
I do. I
And
absolutely
that's
love
what
that.
We want to talk about getting fired up about it, dude.
I know you do. That's why I wanted you on the
Well,
show.
I kid you not, man. It was a thing where, like, when I was smoking black and milds, all this, I would wake up coughing in my sleep. I would wheeze. I had an old guy come in the shop, and this is back way when, and he goes, and he's wheezing it, and he asked me if it's gonna help, and I said, I can't give you any info on that. I says, all I can say is,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And all said and done.
Speaks 1,000 words, doesn't it?
That dude has come back in multiple times, and he still to this day thanks me because he was a smoker for 30-something years, and he never, even that day, he stated he never thought it was.
There are studies out there that are showing that vaping is reversing the effects of COPD.
Yeah.
I mean, that is huge.
People, I've even, now I don't know the truth behind this, so don't quote me, but I've read that people use it as a breathing treatment.
Yeah.
Helps with the expansion of your lungs.
There are doctors using zero nic,
Yeah.
and they're telling they've dealt with dry nose, like
a humidifier.
like bleeding and all that, and they said since they've been using that, it's actually taking that away. And these are doctors. These are 3 different doctors that are doing this.
Vaporizing in it. You don't need the
Well,
little
what's a
Vicks
nebulizer?
humidifier.
It's basically the same thing.
And I'm sure you guys can do this. Drop a link in the bottom, but I'm gonna straight up tell you, there's a video you guys can go watch, and they run cigarettes and they run a bottle of juice.
Saw that.
You have to see what this cotton looks like after. That's all
And
I'll
the
state.
tube.
Yeah.
That's all I'll state.
I saw that too.
Yeah, a
go
lot of
see it
those
on-
cotton videos out there, but
you
they're all
base-
basically the same.
Yeah, you
You
Yeah.
can see it in people's houses. Like, like, you can see it on white walls. Like, you can see there's like you
Right.
smoke in your house. Like, obviously.
Yeah, this wall still looks pretty white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right.
they
You
want
look
to
at
say
any
it's
of our walls
scientific or not
anywhere.
scientific. I mean, it doesn't have to be scientific. It's there, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
So the last topic we'll talk about today is the articles that I've been reading, and I really feel like they're all getting this information incorrect, but they're saying that Juul is 75% of the vaping market. So by saying that, if you got rid of Juul, then you're taking the vaping market down to only the 25% of people that aren't using a Juul. Do you believe that Juul can control 75%, and do you think that if Juul went away, that it would just cure everything?
I don't think they. I mean, like.
they need to come work in our shop one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the case. Yeah. I don't think they would. They're stating that they already have 75% of the.
No, these are media outlets
Oh.
that are reading incorrect information because
Right.
there was a study that came out that said that Juul had sold 16 million devices in a year. And that's not actually what it said. It said Juul had sold 16 million products in a year, which would have
So
been
it could
far
be
more
more.
refills.
Yeah, it could have been any-
Right,
yeah.
than it was. But every politician, every media outlet says that they've sold 16 million devices, so they own 70 to 75% of the market.
Wow. That's like the
Well,
game
yeah,
telephone.
yeah, maybe.
So when they see the thing where they're saying that kids are sneaking in with Juul products to school because it's, it looks like a flash drive and all of this, they're saying that if that they're the main issue with this epidemic. They're the reason why this started, and if we got rid of them, then 75% of our issues would go away. And I'm like, well, number one, there's no way that's possible. You got Smoke, Geek Vape, iJoy. I mean, the list just goes on and on.
People
They're
fight.
fighting for 25% of the market, and Juul's got 75. Like anyone with any intelligence or does any little bit of research would know that that's just
And they
impossible.
wouldn't be able to afford to advertise
No.
if they were doing that.
Yeah. How could they afford to bring out a new product every day?
Right. Exactly.
I would almost say every week, but damn near every day. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. And so that's really my final question today. It's like, what do you think? So how much of the market do you really think that Juul actually, is from what you guys? Because you're younger. I mean, I'm sure you're seeing people that use the Juul. I honestly don't really see anybody other than Preston that even uses the Juul.
I don't use it anymore.
Yeah.
There's too much money in it.
Yeah.
It is. It's a lot of.
That's what it might account for, because you consider you pay $50 or so for the startup, right? So you pay for your device, at least here. I mean, like I said, given that's going to be different across the board anywhere you go, but you pay $50 for your startup and then roughly about $20 a pack of pods. Yeah, maybe how much financially they bring in, considering it's that what it costs to keep up with that.
Right.
It ain't cheaper than smoking.
But as soon as somebody learns the truth about refillables, it's like,
well, that's right.
Yeah.
Why would you continue to pay $20 for freaking technically, after you do the math on it, it's 2.8 mils of juice for the entire pack.
Yes, it
You're
is.
paying close to $20 for it.
They're paying for the name.
The name-
They want the
it's-
Juul,
yeah,
even
you
though
got
we
your
have
Nike-
something very similar.
You got your Nike shoes.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Oh, yeah.
And then
I can't have a generic Juul.
And you also look at it like this too. I mean, you come into a vape store, anywhere you go, odds are you'll see a bottle of salt nicotine juice. Most likely, I've seen them for the most part 30 mils, but you can see others. But if you base it off just the 30 mils, you're paying anywhere from $14 to $20 for a 30 mil.
Right.
So you're paying that for a 30 mil. That's times 10.
Yes.
Save yourself the money. Save yourself the headache and the expense of buying them damn preloaded pods. I get it. All that is though
The name.
100% the name, and besides that, it's the convenience.
It's a lazy vapor.
Yeah,
Literally, it's
it
a
Yeah.
is.
lazy
Yeah.
It's
It
really
is-
all it is. I just want to put this in and do this. Yeah. And we get that. And that's why we continue to sell those pods, because we want to give somebody an alternative other than
fancy,
smoking. I
get
mean,
fancy.
if it's between smoking and the Juul, choose the Juul. Okay?
Right.
If it's between the Juul and everything else, choose something else.
Choose something else.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, realistically, that's how I feel about
Vaping,
that.
like as a person who sells to people and the person trying to get people off of the tobacco and everything like that, I mean, obviously my first choice when you come into me, I'm not just saying, Drew, off the top of my head, if you say I only smoke half a pack a day, like that's not I'm not trying to get you so hooked on something that you're completely not able to get off of it. Like,
right.
You know, like it's not, I mean, giving Juul's not, I mean, nicotine's addicting. And it depends on your addictive personalities. Obviously, everybody's different. But I mean, like, it just, the goal of our vape store and every other vape store should be to get off of cigarettes.
Not to
and to
start
get on,
higher.
you can start at your 2.4 nic or your high nicotine, and that's the great thing about it. You can choose your levels when you're ready to move on and get lower and quit. That's just, that's why.
And there are no other products out there that allow you to do that. No, even like the gum. And when we talk about cost, the gum is by far the most cost effective. I mean, realistically, you can get a bottle of gum pieces, you get like 170 in a bottle for about $40. Okay, so that's very inexpensive. The problem is it doesn't work.
Right.
Everybody, the majority of people that try, the numbers of people that actually quit using the gum are so staggeringly low that I can't even imagine how they can continue to sell it. I mean, it's insane. Like about 20% of people will quit smoking with the help of vaping, and less than half of that with the gum.
And your jaw hurts.
Right, and it's not the same action.
No, it's not. That's the hand-to-mouth asphyxiation.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
No, and I say this a lot because the guy, Jed Rose, the guy that invented the nicotine patch and invented Chantix, he's been before the FDA going, this is a better solution.
Oh,
When that guy's saying that, and he's been studying nicotine since the 70s, you have to take that under advisement. You have to believe that guy knows what he's talking about. If you're a politician, you've got intelligence in a bunch of areas, but no real in-depth knowledge of any one thing, and that's why you use experts. And here's a drug that the FDA has already approved, and the guy that made that saying this is better, and they're like, we don't know.
Pretty strong.
Because they're not threatened by it.
No.
It's because it doesn't threaten their money that they've been making. It doesn't threaten like everything that's been going on in the last however many, since they've been growing tobacco out of the farms. You know, like it did, which they still are. But I mean, like they've had this system going and making so much money.
And all of a sudden, here comes something, and they're like scrambling.
Yeah.
So we'll pass this one around for the last question of the day. Well, you can start with Nation, so we'll just pass it from there. If your costs for your vape products on the whole doubled, would you still continue to vape? No. The taxes go in there.
No, you just can't. Like that's why.
Something else to do.
Yeah, that's you're just gonna put me to try to, I don't know, find another alternative to something. Like I mean, it's just I would want to say yes, just because it is that much healthier for you.
Right.
But costly, it's already hard to live. Like as a person growing up nowadays, like I'm 20, I have a job and like all I do is pay for a car and a phone, and it's pretty hard. Like I don't even have a house yet. Like you know, but still, it's just I would find something different completely.
To answer that,
I think you would, but
We'd have people
you
giving it to
beat me
them.
to it. I really would. But my thing is,
It's black market.
Yeah,
It'll go down.
I'm gonna be ordering on. You know, and that's the thing. Everything can be obtained. Shoot, you go to Rural King, you can get PG and VG.
yes.
So that being stated, you know, if you can go obtain those things, you can go online, you can get your flavoring additives, your Sapphire nicotine packets, do your own stuff. You know, I would, because I'm not going back to smoking. I remember how I felt. I remember, you know, ironically enough, I lost weight too. Because it bogged me down. It grogged me down like smoking tobacco. And as soon as I got away from that and got gung ho on my vape, it was the thing where I was breathing better. You know, I'm more efficient, I guess. You know what I mean? As far as thoroughly through my body. So yeah, I would 100% vape. I'll find a way, one way or the other.
Have a lot less time.
I'm going to let her answer in a minute, but I want to ask you one more question.
Yeah.
Why do you think more of these reviewers and vape companies and stuff like that aren't screaming from the rooftops about this? Why is it all I'm seeing are, hey, we got the newest mod with the newest tank, or here's the newest juice, but they're not telling people about what could possibly be the end of all of this? And I honestly don't know, and that's kind of why I'm posing it to you. Like, what's the mindset? Are they just basically turning a blind eye, thinking that somebody's going to bail them out at some point, or they don't care, or what is it?
Don't get me wrong. I think these companies, they're there, and there's a reason they're a company. One, that shit started because they had money. So having money is one thing, obviously. That being stated, they are so far along in their companies. A lot of these companies, you've heard about them for years now. You know what I mean? Kangertech, they're not very heard of, but it is still a thing you're hearing of them. So my thing is they're not hurting, so they're not worried. The second it starts hurting, guess what? That's when they're gonna flip their action, and you know that's the fucked up part. Why wait until you start?
Right.
Get ahead of the ahead of the game. You need to be ahead of the game. And
Well, what about guys like the Vaping Bogon or Mike Vapes or Rip Trippers who
They're
just
just trying-
continue to do product reviews and, you know, it's like, hey, if tires are going to be no more, then quit reviewing cars. Like there's, you know,
Right.
we have to fix this issue and then get back to this.
Or we're not going to be.
I think they're just entirely too focused on, you know, what's revenuing for them. Their streamers, their feed, you know, and my thing is they're not maintaining what they need to do is, you know, what would make them so much better, and it's 100% because I've watched all these guys.
Yeah.
You know, they need to educate more. They educate on products, but let's educate on the real facts of vaping. Let's go and get in depth and explain to these people like what we're doing and why we're doing it, what we're trying to prohibit, what we're trying to stop people from doing, you know, and they're not worried about it because, in my honest opinion, I think it's a thing where they are just too focused on their niche, what they're known for, their reviews. But that's
Yeah.
the thing; these people, you know, like
small-
Rip Trippers, like Vaping Bogan, you know, them guys, they have these. They look them up. It's not for that. They're looking them up for a review. So you know, if they realize that, you know, they're looked at for at least that. They're looked at for the whole aspect of vaping.
I totally
So
agree.
they need to be doing this.
Because you got guys like Grim Green, you got people like
Yeah.
Ruby Roo who are putting out advocacy. You know, they're like, okay, I'm going to do a review, but then I'm going to do this about this. You know, I mean, and you know, Grim and Ruby both now do 2-hour vlogs every Thursday, and a good 50, 60, 70% of the show is about what we're talking
And
about
that's
now.
how it
Which
should
is
be.
good.
It is,
And
yeah.
That's the thing, you know,
and that's why I want to put that out there. Like, they're not all doing this,
Right.
but I don't know why they're all not doing
There
this.
needs to be more of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it could be on their area where they live too. You know, they're like, isn't Vaping Bogan Australia?
Yes. Yeah.
So okay, it's all about different areas too, where they're from. I could see that maybe taking a little role. I mean, yeah, and they're busy people, I'm sure. You know,
Right.
Besides, they got a life, just kind of like we do. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? We work, go to work, we do our thing.
They're going to have a lot more time on their hands if
Well,
this all goes
right.
bad, though. That's my concern.
Yeah, it shits the fan, you know, and that's the thing. Then they're out. But that's the thing they need to realize is they need to do what we're doing, band together. It needs
Yes.
to be a freaking clique. That's the thing. I've seen vaping become a movement. It's not even just what it's a hobby. It's a movement. It's a thing where we started our band program. The whole purpose of that is to encourage these people. That's
Yes.
the point of it is like with I hate to go this route again, but rehab facilities.
Yeah.
What do they do after you hit 6 months?
Yeah.
You get a coin. And guess what? I know, like I said, knowing people that have been through that struggle, they post it on Facebook and they're happy about it.
Yeah.
And guess what? You know what you see in the comments? Congratulations, congratulations,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Support.
Support. And that's what these people need. And the biggest thing about it is like you want to not be there to, help us push, then just get out of the business.
Yeah, if those of you at home don't know what he's talking about, we started a program called the Phoenix Bands. Basically what this is, we call it Phoenix Bands Rising from the Ashes. And basically what it is, it's like a sobriety chip for time not smoking. And the reason we started this is because we wanted people that were proud of the fact that they weren't smokers anymore to be able to wear these bands. But the biggest part of this was that we wanted people that were wearing these bands to get support from others who knew that this was a good idea. If they can see, hey, I have stopped smoking for a month, or hey, I've stopped smoking for 6 months, or hey, I'm a year smoke free. It was something for people to be able to go, hey, nice job, keep up the good work. It's a constant reminder too. If you think, I really want to go out and get a smoke, and you're just constantly looking down at that thing, going, man, I've been smoke free for like 6 months. If I can just get through today, and maybe get home and hit my vape a few more times, I can get through another day. And I think that's what that was all about. And those bands are absolutely free. If you come into any of our stores, you can pick one up, no problem at all. All of our people will give them to you. If you want one off the website, we'll send you one with any order. So if you order something from the website, just ask for one. There's a spot there where you can put it on there, and we will send one of those out to you free of charge as well. So we want to do things like this, and obviously that's a step that vapers took that didn't make us any money. This isn't something that's going to provide us with any more. And Vapers is one of those funny places where we lose customers, and that's our goal. we want you to get down to the point where you aren't smoking anymore because we know it's a healthier thing to do. And a lot of our customers, that I couldn't believe how many zeros. We just recently went through some of the statistics of the bottles that we sell to figure out what we still need to carry, and the number of zeros was staggering. It was staggering. Yeah. So last but not least, obviously, so what are your thoughts about that? Do you think that this, if we got rid of Juul, would that solve all of our issues? Will the kids stop using vape? If it doubles in price, will you still continue to use it?
Yeah, I'll just have a lot less time on my hands because I'll be Googling how to do it myself.
Right.
And I think a lot of, back to real quick, the reason why people aren't addressing the issue, I think everybody thinks that somebody else is going to step up and take, and it's all goes back to the accountability and stuff too. People are always wanting to pass the buck or think that it's just miraculously going to get done. And I think also when people see us advocating, we're not advocating for our jobs alone. We're advocating because we feel strongly about the fact that this can save lives. It has given people their parents back.
Yeah, this feels less of a job to me and more of a mission.
It's a passion, and it is. And when people come in, I don't go to see, I see the minimum nicotine we can start you at, and we can always increase. You don't start high. That's why the first thing I don't say, oh, start at a Juul or whatever. I find out what their needs and their, it's just, I'm very passionate about it. I've had cancer strike close to home. I know. Yeah, I mean, I almost get emotional about it.
Yeah,
and
no,
it has
and
nothing
I
to
understand.
do with, I love my job. I love, y'all are like family or whatever. But
yeah, no,
people
I get it.
need to band together. Like
They do,
said.
and
and it's not. We're not just saying this because we want your business. Of course, we want your business too. But,
Yeah.
But we're saving lives. We're preventing a lot of heartache down the road, and if you put it that way, that makes sense.
Absolutely, guys.
Makes sense.
I really appreciate you being with me today. This has really been a fun one today. I wanted the fire. I knew if I got some of the younger guys in here, I could get some more fire out of this. So that's exactly what I wanted. And I wanted you guys at home to be able to see different generations of people that all really feel the same way about this. If you don't know about this stuff, do just a tiny, tiny bit of research and your eyes are just going to be wide open. All right? We want you to stop smoking or you're going to die. And here at the Vapers Report, we always want to provide you with the knowledge you can use, okay? The one last thing I'm going to leave you with is I vape and I vote. Your vote counts. If you're over the age of 18 and you're in this situation, you don't know what's going to happen, contact your state, local, federal representatives. Send an email out to Donald Trump. He gets enough of these things, he has to pay attention to this stuff, okay? It was a pleasure having you guys. We'll probably have another different group of people. I think we might do an under 21 next week. I'm going to try for that. So I have some of these guys in here that are a little younger and see what this is going to do to affect them. So stay tuned in next week. Same vape time, same vape channel. I'm Anthony Ramella, and I'm going to see you guys next week. Thank you and good night.